Hey everyone, Austin over here at Oxford Retirement coming to you with another video, this time around life transition. So, four key topics to talk about today, and we'll jump right in. Number one, healthcare costs. Okay, so getting into retirement, obviously, healthcare costs is a big item of discussion. Where do I get healthcare? How much do I have to pay for it? All of those things. And we kind of call it the golden handcuffs because there's some people that are right on the precipice of being able to retire, but they're still working because they don't want to pay out of pocket the amount that they're going to need to pay for their health insurance. In short, if you're over 65, you're going to get on, the Medicare-based plans. If you're retired and don't have any other options there, if you're pre-65, you're going to be shopping on the healthcare marketplace, and that can be costly. Average premium for, someone in their 60s shopping on the marketplace is somewhere around $1,200. That's not to say you're going to pay $1,200, because right now there's some really big subsidies that were enacted under Biden under the Inflation Reduction Act and the American Rescue Plan. So right now there are some very, very large subsidies that can be had if you're shopping on the marketplace. Um, so you can take a look. My biggest advice there would definitely be to sit down with a healthcare insurance specialist so they can talk you through the different types of plans, how much they cost, and hopefully, if they're knowledgeable, they'll also be able to talk about the subsidies. The thing to know, though, is that if nothing changes, and I know taxes and the big beautiful bill that Trump is working on right now, um, and may be out by the time you see this. um, if nothing happens, those subsidies are going to go back to where they were pre-COVID. In that case, a single person would have to make less than, it's about $62,000 to get a subsidy for their health care. For a couple, it's somewhere around $84,000 to get a subsidy. If you make over that, you don't get any subsidy, you're paying it all out of pocket. That's how it used to be, not where it is today. Today, you can make $100,000 plus dollars and still get a subsidy, no problem. But unless something changes, unless something gets actually passed, then that will change. The other thing to think about on healthcare, once you actually get into retirement, once you're on the Medicare side of things, is IRMA. Everyone's least favorite Aunt Irma. Stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. The thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that the normal Medicare Part B premium right now is $185 a month. Okay, it goes up every year basically, but you're paying $185 for Medicare and then all the other things outside of that. However, if your income is high enough, you will pay more than $185 for Part B. Right now, and I think a lot of people have, oh, there it is. A lot of people have these quick guides that we put out. It has some information about IRMA on the back there. On the back side, it says basically if your income 2 years ago, because that's what they look at for 2025's premiums, they look at your 2023 income, and if you file a joint tax return, it's $212,000 or less, then you don't have to pay an increase. But $1 over, now you're paying extra. You pay extra for Part B and extra for Part D, which is the drug plans. If you're single, filing individually, then your limit there is 106. Okay, your income 2 years ago was more than 106, then you pay extra this year. So it's something to plan around, especially if you think you might have spikes in income throughout retirement, so that we can try to mitigate that and avoid paying extra for Medicare, because it's one of the weird areas. Most of our tax system is progressive, so if you make an extra dollar, you just pay the higher tax rate on that dollar, not on any of the rest of it. So you never go backwards. But here you can, because if you make 212, okay, you don't pay anything extra. You make 212,000 and $1, you pay like $1,000 extra for Medicare. So it can be pretty detrimental. All right, so topic number 2 is going to be state taxes. So if you are moving out of state, it's really important that you take a look at what their tax structure is. What kind of taxes should you expect to pay once you're there? If you were living in Arizona your entire life and you're used to that and you move to California, obviously there's going to be some changes tax wise. So it's important to take a look at and plan for not only income tax. Arizona's got a flat tax of 2.5% right now, um, but also property taxes, which can vary state by state, sales taxes, and one that I think a lot of people miss out on is estate and inheritance taxes. Most states don't have estate and inheritance taxes. Difference being, an estate tax is going to take into consideration all the value passed on upon your death. Inheritance tax is just based on the value given to that individual. Mostly across the northern states, especially the northeastern states, is where they have estate and income inheritance taxes. But it's something to consider. How does that change your plans? All right, so topic number 3 is the widow's penalty. May or may not have heard about this, but it's the concept that while you're married, you're filing jointly, you've got obviously higher tax brackets. When someone passes away, when a spouse passes away, the survivor has to file as a single individual, which means their tax brackets are going to be about half of what they were previously. And just to walk you through a quick example, let's say we've got $6,000 a month coming from pensions, IRAs, all those taxable sources, and let's say $4,000 a month coming from Social Security combined. $2,000 a piece just to make it easy. Total taxable income for that is going to be right around $112,000, and that's comfortably in the 12% tax bracket today. However, one of us passes away and the pension sticks around and half of my Social Security sticks around because the smaller of the two Social Securities is going to go away. So that didn't cut my income in half, but it did cut my tax brackets in half. So now I am easily in the 22% tax bracket on at least some of my income, and anything up and above that is in the 22 as well. So it's something to take a look at. Sooner you can identify that may be the case. Even taking some of the money out, converting it to Roth at the 22% tax bracket can make sense. In some cases, it kind of depends. But if you pay the 22% while you're both alive, you've got these higher tax brackets. You can tax more of the money at the smaller brackets as opposed to waiting until one of us passes away. And I know we plan life together, we plan retirement together. Unfortunately, statistically, we're not likely to die together. Very small percentage do. So we have to take a look at that and consider, what happens when someone passes away, not only from the income standpoint, how much income am I going to lose if one of us passes away, but also tax-wise, how much extra tax am I going to expect if one of us passes away? And number 4 is estate taxes. So estate tax planning, basically, if you're approaching the $15 million mark at this point, $14-15 million, if you're getting pretty close to that point, it would make sense to maybe start planning around the estate tax system. We have 2 tax systems in the U.S. We have the income tax system and we have the gifting and estate tax system. They're mostly separate. There's a couple of crossovers, but they're very different systems in how they work. And most people don't have to deal with the gift and estate tax system outside of someone passing away or if you're very, very wealthy. But the rules that were passed, it basically the estate tax exemptions for almost 14 million today, and it's going up to $15 million next year, and it's going to continue to be indexed for inflation. Had Trump not passed the big beautiful bill, then it was going to revert to about $5 million. So that is something that we always are kind of watching for: tax changes, estate tax changes. You want to make sure that you're aware of that if it applies to you. If it doesn't apply to you, then fine, but the rules change year by year. So you kind of got to play it by ear and plan around that. So that's all for this series. Look forward to more Big Beautiful Bill information videos coming soon.